here with Governor Buddy Roemer, who is running for president, is actually part of the polling mix here in New Hampshire.
First time.
First time.
Yeah.
And
I feel like I've graduated. I'm like in junior high school now.
you may beat Rick Perry in the polls.
It's possible.
Today. It's possible today. You've been up there for a little bit. You're going to be doing some radio hits up here on Radio Row, the Radisson. First off, I just sat in. I was sitting next to you while you were giving another interview, and very good interview, very strong interview about why you're not more in the mix in this race. I know that you've talked with Jazz Shaw of Hot Air, my colleague at Hot Air, about this, but bring people up to speed here. Why haven't we seen Buddy Roemer in the debates, and why aren't we seeing you a little higher in the polls?
Well, and maybe it's because I've been out of politics for 16 years. Maybe it's because I limit my gifts to $100 or less. Maybe it's because I don't take the PAC money. Now, we've paid all of our bills. The last week was our best week raising money. I mean, we are growing in this campaign. But for a long time, they said, well, Buddy, you don't register in the polls. Well, it's interesting. How do you register in the polls if you don't get in the debates? I mean, they could have said that about Rick Santorum. I was ahead of him in the Florida poll. They could have said that about John Huntsman. I was ahead of him in the Florida poll and the New Hampshire poll. They could have said that about a lot of people, but they chose to put them in. I'm the only guy running who's been a governor and a congressman. I think it gives me a different perspective. I'm the only guy running who doesn't have a super PAC and doesn't take PAC money. I would like to be in the debates because I need an audience. I need American people to stand with me. I've never had a fundraiser in this campaign.
Is that right? I did not know that.
Zero. Ask Mitt Romney how many he has a day. They don't need the debates. I guarantee you that Mitt Romney would rather not be in the debate. I don't know whether you agree with me or not.
I would say that, especially the way the debates are currently formulated, because these things are like game shows.
Yeah, exactly. It's got you. It's get you. It's expose you. Mitt Romney doesn't want to debate. He doesn't need them. Buddy Roemer, who doesn't take special interest money, has got to be in the debate. And I promise the other candidates, I'll be fair, I'll be tough, I'll be honest, and I'll talk about America. I think we need that in the debate.
Are you going to be going down to South Carolina to be doing any campaign?
I'm not. I'm not in the South Carolina election because the Republican Party charged $35,000 to be in South Carolina. Can you believe that?
They charge $35,000
a person. Ask these other guys what they paid to get on the ballot. I have $35,000 in my campaign. I actually have more than that, but we're not going to waste it on getting on the ballot. I think it's wrong. New Hampshire cost $1,000. Texas's highest cost $5,000. South Carolina cost $35,000.
And see, here's the thing. I think that would be a state that you would naturally compete in, being a former Southern
governor. In a poll last month, I was in 4th place. They like my accent. You know, I'm from Southern New Hampshire. They like that. They like that.
So,
by the way, I do go to Michigan and Arizona. That's my next two. That's in the month of February.
Right.
I'll talk about jobs in Michigan, and I think you'll like my jobs program. I have a pretty focused, unusual jobs program.
Well, tell us about unusual. What's unusual about your jobs program?
Emphasis on small business, emphasis on fair trade. I think we have unfair trade with China, and I will stop it. We're their best market. They don't want a trade war. They don't want to stop trading, but I will get the level playing field. I will revoke their permanent trade status with the United States. We'll make it temporary. We'll make it 6 months to 6 months and see if they trade fairly. I'm going to put the heat on those people. I've been to China many times, as you probably know. I'm a very active businessman.
Right.
The Chinese just tariffed American cars 3 weeks ago, 28% extra tariff. They don't play fair. They don't let our products in. And by God, I want a president to stand up for American workers. We're going to do that in Michigan. Then I go to Arizona, and we'll talk about immigration. Most unusual approach. I would reduce the number of immigrants legally. that come to this country. I would go back to the numbers that we had for 210 years, 250,000 a year. Under Bill Clinton and the boys, we raised it to 1 million. U.S. Chamber of Commerce wanted that. They wanted cheap labor. Look at Americans without work, and we're letting people flood into this country. We have a lot of work to do. I'll talk about it in Arizona. You'll like it.
All right. So you got Michigan, you got Arizona coming up. You've been getting at least some media traction. Again, noting what you were saying earlier here at the table.
The last week has been awesome.
The last week you've been on Morning Joe on MSNBC a couple times.
I have.
And they seem to like you on Morning Joe.
Even Morning Joe can make a mistake.
Oh, that's not true.
No, I'm kind of playing all shucks.
While you were sitting here, I have to tell you, while you were sitting here, I was tweeting about the fact that I'm trying not to listen in on Buddy Roemer's conversation with this reporter, but it's absolutely impossible to do because you're funny, you're charming, and obviously you do great.
Well, America's in trouble, and I think now's the time to look at all of our options. And I don't think our only option is Mitt Romney, Newt Gingrich, Ron Paul, and John Huntsman. I think we have better options. Rick Santorum is a good, interesting figure, although he and I disagree on some things. But I like us to have options. That's what primaries are for. Primaries are to look at all of your options. And I'm going to ask America again tonight, when this election results in, look at another option. There's one out there.
And when you look at the results that come in from New Hampshire, where you've been doing a bit of campaigning on the ground, let's say you get up to 2 or 3%.
Yeah.
You're not going to go to South Carolina. You've already said that.
Right.
You're not on the ballot there. But when it comes time to doing the debates in Michigan and Arizona, do you think that
there are debates in both states?
Right. Do you think that 2 or 3%, if you beat Rick Perry, for instance,
I'm going to try to earn the right to be unavoidable in the debate. I mean, I know Mitt Romney's the favorite there, and Mitt's a decent guy. He's got background in Michigan. I honor that, like I do in Louisiana.
Sure.
But there's a big segment of the vote there that's undecided. I'm going to work hard to earn the right to be in the debate there. Same in Arizona. I'm going to try to be funny. I'm going to try to be relevant. I'm going to try to be clean. I'm going to try to lead on the major issues. And if that doesn't get you in a debate, I'm in the wrong country.
Okay, now earlier you were talking about PACs and super PACs, and the idea that elections are being bought and paid for through these PACs. I would argue that the problem with PACs and super PACs is campaign finance reform altogether.
Yeah.
Because what it's doing is it's creating false categories of money that creates.
Might be right.
What's
two broad categories that interest me?
Yeah.
Two broad, and I agree with you. The more complicated you get a system, the more it can be gamed.
Yes.
Look at our tax code. That's your point. That's your point. Now, a threat to a republic is corruption. And the Supreme Court has ruled quite clearly that you can regulate direct contributions.
Right.
The appearance of corruption is also a threat, the Supreme Court said. And they said if a contribution is independent, third party, not attached, not coordinated, independent, then that can't be regulated. I don't mind that. I think they're right. I think money is speech. But we need a speed limit on the highway. That's all I'm saying. Broad regulation as to disclosure. Yes. I think it needs to be disclosed. Sunlight will cure it. I'm a conservative. Conservatives believe in disclosure. Now we don't have disclosure and we don't have limits.
I agree.
I'm not so much interested in the limits as I am the disclosure. I would take broad limits. I would allow PACs and individuals to give $5,000, $2,000, whatever a broad limit is that's fair. I would eliminate super PACs. They are illegal, and the reason they are is they're not independent and they don't disclose. They're the worst of both worlds.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on this, but I think the solution here is to revoke the tax-exempt status of all these PACs.
I'm with you, man.
And
that's one
and just require immediate and total. I'm trying to think of disclosure.
Disclosure, yes.
Of any contributions. And that forces the money back to the candidates and it makes the candidates responsible for the messaging.
And account for the money that they're responsible. I mean, Mitt Romney said the other day, well, I didn't write that ad against you, Newt. Yes, he did. He went to the fundraiser of the organization that did it. How? What a fib that is. I can't use the word lie. But it's a fib. It's a wink and a nod. I grew up in Louisiana. it survived by winks and nods. It wasn't what you knew, it was who you knew. You know what that's called? Corruption.
Right. And you know, and I just found this out right before I turned on the camera. You were the one who coined the phrase that I think is one of the greatest phrases in American political history. Vote for the crook.
It's important. It was important.
Explain that.
David Duke against Edwin Edwards.
Yes.
It was a 10-person race. There were 7 Republicans running, and Edwards was basically the only Democrat. He got 30%. Duke got 30%. I got 29.7%. Very close. I beat either one of them head up, but I'm out. The primary's over. We go to the general election. And the governor and I are talking, Edwards, who I had beaten in the prior election. He said, man, I'm in trouble. This Duke, man, racist, you know, all this sort of business. And I called him back and said, hey, vote for the crook. It's important. And I think Edwards' comment was, I dislike that, but I think it'll work, buddy.
Well, Governor Roemer, thanks so much for spending some time. I know that you're a busy man. You got lots to do today. But thanks for sitting and talking with us for a moment.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Okay, bye-bye.